Friday, the 21st of April 2023 is the date today. This is a breakfast show on Camnet television. I am your host this morning, Prudence Chota. I know we have an exciting topic that we will be discussing with our guest in studio today, and you, the viewer, there watching us in the comfort of your home or on your platform or on a gadget. You can make those contribution submissions by sending us a message on our Facebook page, or you can call through the numbers that are on the screen. So this morning, I know we are behind time. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of talking, but we are going to directly dive into the morning boost where we get to exercise. So exercise along with us this morning. There you have it. That's all we could accommodate on today's morning boost. I hope you have exercised along with that. If you're unable to do that, you can still do it at your own spare time. Remember, this program is being streamed live on our Facebook page, so you can just go back to this particular segment and you can exercise. You can do it with your family, you can do it with your spouse, you can do it even alone or with friends and colleagues. So it is important to exercise. If you're unable to make it to the gym, Camnet TV cares for you. That's why we bring you the morning boost in the comfort of your home, where it makes you feel as though you are in the gym, of course. Right about now, also, we are going to see what is it that the doctor can accommodate on the Doctor's Corner this morning. Let's hear this.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. My name is Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about typhoid fever, and we talked about what is typhoid fever. We say that it's a diarrhea disease that is caused by a bacteria called Salmonella typhi or Salmonella paratyphi. Then we also say that it's transmitted through the fecal-oral route, and usually persons who have the infections can be able to pass the bacteria through the stool, and if a person has infected hands and they touch the food that you're eating and you ingest that food, you can be able to get the infection as well. Then we also talked about people who live in certain areas where there is a sewer. They can also get this infection through drinking contaminated water. Then we also talked about some of the signs and symptoms. We say that people with typhoid fever would have fever, and this fever usually progresses every single day. So it increases in severity every single day. The other thing is that they would have abdominal pain. They would also have constipation or diarrhea. So they might have constipation first and then diarrhea later, or they might only have constipation, or they might only have the diarrhea alone. The other thing is they would have body pains, body weakness, joint pains. They would also have rose spots. So these are like rashes that would develop on the abdomen or on the trunk, and these rashes would be red in color, and they would signify that there's a bacteria that has infected the skin of these patients. Then we talked about how it's diagnosed and treated. We say that usually they would need to do cultures of the stool, the urine, and the blood as well. Treatment is based on the antibiotics that work in that particular area or in that particular hospital, because places are different, and based on the types of sensitivities that are there, then they would be able to recommend a bacteria, an antibiotic for you to use. The other thing is that you need to replenish fluids for these patients and give them a good, soft, nutritious diet that will provide them with good nutrition to help them recover. They would also need to keep or observe good hygiene to prevent infecting other people. So today we'll talk about prevention. How can you prevent yourself from getting this infection? So first of all, you need to understand that if somebody is sick in your house, you need to advise them to observe good hygiene so that they can wash their hands every time they use the toilet, and even anybody else in the house. Make sure that they are washing their hands every time they use the bathroom. And also, if you're in public areas, make sure you wash your hands every time you use the bathroom or every time you greet other people. Before you eat your food, always wash your hands. And also cover your food every time you have leftover foods. Don't leave your food exposed, and risk of contaminating the food from other carriers, like flies can increase. So make sure you cover your food and protect your food. The other thing is, if you are in a place where you drink water from the borehole, try to boil the water. Try to boil it before you can drink the water. So drink boiled water or chlorinated water so that you prevent yourself from getting this infection. The other thing that you need to do is avoid being in overcrowded places. If you stay in an overcrowded place, then observe good hygiene, or if you're in overcrowded places, in an overcrowded place, observe good hygiene. So typhoid fever can cause many complications in the body, so it's important that we protect ourselves. It can cause what we call a perforation in the intestines, and this can be very risky and can call for you to go for an operation. So you need to protect yourself and protect other people as well by observing good hygiene. The other thing is that it can cause nerve problems and psychiatric problems. So if it's not treated promptly, you can end up having complications in the nervous system where somebody has paralysis and other complications of the nervous system. So make sure you get treatment early. Take your loved ones to the hospital as soon as possible and get treated for typhoid, because it's possible for it to be treated and it's possible for you to stay clear of this infection. So I do hope you have learned something today. Make sure you watch again next week here on the Breakfast Show on the Health Corner. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. And if you missed any other episodes, you can watch my YouTube videos. That is Dr. Nakubia Namfaya as well. I'll see you again next time. Remember to stay healthy and stay blessed.
There you have it. That was our doctor this morning discussing typhoid fever and how you can deal with that. I hope we have gotten one or two things on how we can prevent typhoid. Remember, this disease can be gotten even when you come in contact with a person who has typhoid, by using the same toilet with them, by touching the same items, by using even the same cup for you to drink water. So it is important for us to follow the advice that the doctors are giving us on this program to ensure that we don't fall prey to typhoid. This particular illness looks as if it is a simple thing, but it kills. Typhoid kills a number of people. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have typhoid. You know, this is a particular illness that will have your temperature get to escalating levels more than what you anticipate. You'll be feeling this certain fever that you don't even understand, and in most cases people have ended up losing their lives. So quite an interesting topic there, and I hope we have learned one or two things from that. So even right about now, we are going to see how is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles on our money market. This is the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV, where we discuss a lot of things. We bring you different segments. I know earlier we did an exercise segment, and now the doctors, and right about now we are going to see how is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles. We know that Kwacha in the past few weeks was not doing quite well. It depreciated to over 21 kwacha, and a lot of people got to talk about the issue, because remember, the UPND administration promised us that when they come into office by 14 hours, the kwacha would have appreciated. Yes, we saw an appreciation last year, and kwacha became one of the best performing currencies, but coming into the 2023 and towards the end of 2022, we did see our local currency not perform as expected. So this morning, I want to see how is it that our kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. There you have it. Quite interesting figures coming from the way our local currency is performing. Kwacha there against the Great British Pound is buying at 21 kwacha 45 ingwe and selling at 21 kwacha 87 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha 22 ingwe and selling at 17 kwacha 56 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ingwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand there buying at 0.95 ingwe and selling at 0.97 ingwe. So that is our money market for this morning. It's actually interesting to know that kwacha is now at 17 kwacha 22 ngwe. I know a lot of people are asking what these might have been and what are the reasons. We've seen quite a number of contributions and you are yet to hear from government. I know Mr. Dodia there, Yusuf Dodia, he is quite prominent when it comes to making contributions. Did actually write something about this, and he said it is temporal because the Central Bank of Government might have stepped in and released some resources on the market. Interestingly, but also Trevor Hambai, who's an economist, also gave his side of the coin where he mentioned that, you know, the first quarter of every year, the banking, the private sector or other sectors like the mining sector and all these organizations are mandated to actually pay their taxes. And remember, when they are paying their taxes, they have to meet their tax obligation in kwacha. So what is happening is when they sell their dollars, they come back to buy kwacha on the market so that during this first quarter, they can meet their tax obligations. So there is demand for kwacha, and what that does is it is offloading some dollars in the economy and making our currency stronger. That's why we've seen the kwacha appreciate. I know that also makes some sense if you look at it in that sector, but we want to see a permanent solution also to ensure that our kwacha stabilizes. Mr. Ambai also did mention to the fact that the debt restructuring process is almost coming to a dying end. They are almost getting to a conclusion, and that somehow sends confidence to would-be investors to invest in our country. So we wish our government and all stakeholders all the best who are trying to work hard to ensure that things stabilize in our country. Remember, when the UPND administration fails, we've all failed, because we will feel the pinch, we will feel the impact. But when they succeed, we all succeed. So this is a message that we should carry through, even as opposition political party leaders. If you rejoice when the now government fails, it means you're not a good leader, because when you take over, you'll find things are not okay, and it will be difficult for you to rule or govern. So let's wish our leaders all the best, and let's offer solutions to what is happening in the country. Then yesterday also, we know the biggest elephant in the room has been the partial withdrawal of NAPSA resources. I know 20%. Others are saying it's not enough, it's too little. Imagine you've saved 60,000 and 20% of that is just about 12,000. So even if you were to retrieve your 12,000, what would you invest it in? And also NAPSA did advise those who are preview or those who are titled to get their partial withdrawal to say, you know, you don't have to come to the NAPSA offices. You can do it in the comfort of your home using different online platforms. But what we saw yesterday when we visited NAPSA, it was actually a different story. We saw a huge crowd at NAPSA there, and those who we spoke to said, you know, I don't even know how to use a phone myself. So how do you tell me to go and do this online? I don't want my money to go elsewhere. So this just shows how much trust we don't have on online services. And the question we should be asking is, are we moving in the right direction towards the consumption of electronics or the consumption of online platforms? So let's get to hear what those who are qualified to benefit from these resources had to say yesterday, as we allow our guests to settle and we dive into our conversation this morning. Despite the advice from government to use online platforms to apply for the partial withdrawal of the 20% of their pension benefits for those who qualify, the advice does not seem to be yielding results, as some Lusaka residents have continued to flock at the National Pension Schemes Authority NAPSA offices with the intention to be among the early birds to benefit from the 20% partial withdrawal. This has come following President Hakainde Hichilema's decision to sign into law the National Pension Schemes Amendment Bill of 2023, which allows for the partial withdrawal of pension. Some of the pensioners spoken to have, however, expressed ignorance in the use of online platforms to register for their benefit and says it is the reason they have decided to physically visit NAPSA offices to have the process done from here.
Here is faster than doing it online. The reason being it has got some challenges there for you to have the system to be done. Yeah, but here even the process itself is faster than the way we were expecting to be.
Era nomba nendala makatushinga shiresa ya kuso kaidisha ishi efo usende ko shinono pakuti wakula kwa kanda abana bashara balayikala mu nangu wafu it's okay bantu kwa bashaka ku campus at least
okay. Others are, however, excited over the development, saying the process at NAPSA is quick and that they are eagerly waiting to have part of their benefits paid to them even before they can retire.
Well, the process is a bit flexible. Like in my case, I think I've only spent 20 to 30 minutes here. I decided to come here because of certain few technicalities that I was experiencing when I wanted to do the process online. So I think all in all what I can say is I think the lines are moving, as you can see. You want to claim say 50% and you have a good plan for it. I think it's also okay. But again, if you look at the issue from the long-term point of view, I think 20% is fair.
Meanwhile, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda has praised President Hakainde Hichilema for signing into law the National Pension Schemes Amendment Bill of 2023, but has called on stakeholders to engage citizens in financial literacy, as majority of Zambian adults are financially illiterate.
We take this opportunity to call on stakeholders to engage citizens in financial literacy, to include practical application in everyday life, including banking, budgeting, handling debt, and credit and investment or enterprise. We have been made aware that recently the 2020 FISCOP survey, which measured financial health and financial literacy for the first time, found that only 13.6% of adults were financially healthy and 23.6% were financially literate.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it. That was one of the stories we carried that made headline in our news yesterday, where we took time to speak to those who are visiting NAPSA offices to register for their partial withdrawal of their investment. This is their NAPSA contribution. I know NAPSA and government, of course, there, in Ministry of Information Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana did advise people to say you don't necessarily have to go to NAPSA offices, but just follow some of the laid down procedures and you can have it registered online without you having to visit NAPSA. But that was not the story. The past days, just when this pronouncement was made by the president, we've seen a number of people visiting NAPSA offices, and we interacted with some of them yesterday who expressed ignorance over the use of online platforms. I think we have a lot to do as a country to ensure that we have more consumption of online platforms. So that was the story carried out yesterday. And of course, you, our guest and our viewer out there, I know when we are hosting this program, because we get to interact, you get to call and you make those submissions. You are, of course, a guest on the program, in case you wondered why I've said that. But yes, you, our viewer there, can also make your contributions and submissions with regards to that particular topic. How do you feel? But that is not our focus this morning. Our focus this morning is the status of illegal mining in Zambia. We know that mining is the backbone of Zambia's resources. I know they talk about agriculture and it's been backbone of Zambia, but let's not run away from the fact that most of our forex comes from the mining sector. But the question we are asking this morning is, what is the status of illegal mining? And to help me discuss that in studio, I am joined by the president for the small scale miners, and this is Pastor Joseph Mwansa. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Prudence. Good morning, viewers.
It's actually good to have you on set this morning. And I know we are not hosting Pastor Mwansa for the first time on this particular segment of the Breakfast Show. We have hosted him before, and he has been prominent when it comes to making contributions with regards to what we are discussing this morning. So we are discussing the status of illegal mining. We know majority of Zambians are actually involved in mining. If you go to rural areas, perhaps you're wondering, even just stone crushing is called mining. Even just sand digging, where you are selling sand, it's actually called mining. But a number of times we don't understand that that is categorically put in the category of mining. So when you talk about illegal mining, what are we talking about? Who are illegal miners? Pastor Mwansa, let me throw this to you. When you talk about illegal miners, who are they?
Actually, illegal miners, or so-called illegal miners, are Zambians. These are people from different categories, from different provinces, in rural areas, and also in town. They were not supposed to be called illegal miners, but for some reason, because they don't have the documents that are required by the law, so because of that, they are called illegal miners. Illegal miners are people who dig stones without a license or without following the law. So these are called illegal miners. Illegal miners are Zambians who did not just wake up in the morning and become illegal miners. Some of them, they find minerals in their gardens. Now, because of that, they began to do the digging without any authorization paper from the government. And these are the people who are called illegal miners. They're actually Zambians.
So today, if I find minerals on my small garden and I decide to start mining, am I called an illegal miner?
Yes, based on the law of the Republic of Zambia, you'll be called an illegal miner.
Okay.
Because after you find some minerals, if you don't get the license, you'll be one of those who will be called illegal miners.
Why do you think there is an increase in the number of illegal miners compared to those who are registered in our country? What has been leading to this influx of illegal miners?
There are some issues that I think we have talked about time and again, which has not been sorted out by the government. These are the problems that we have been facing for the past maybe 10 years or 20 years. That's what has made the illegal mining to increase. Otherwise, no one chose to be an illegal miner. I think the reason why it has been like this, because of if one wants to acquire a license, you have to spend a lot of money, which some of them they don't even have. And because of that, we have seen few people have licenses, few people are doing mining with licenses, and most of them who are Zambians, they don't have licenses because of the huge amount of money which are required for one to obtain the license. So this has been a reason why we have few people who have licenses and many people who are doing illegal mining in different locations, different provinces in Zambia.
You've talked about the incumbent process that comes with acquiring this mine. You said it has been a leading cause to most of illegal miners in the country. Do you think the government has been helping enough for people to get their license so that they become legitimate miners? I think I asked this question because we saw in the past a situation where when I say I have minerals on my land, tomorrow I'll be evicted, and before you know it, they are looking for investors out there to come and invest on your property, while you, the owner of that property, who was the legal owner in the first place, have to just walk away with nothing.
Yeah, these are some of the things that we have been discussing in our sector, and we feel that we are not protected as Zambians when it comes to mining sector. And you know, the people discover these minerals as actually they are Zambians, local Zambians who sometimes happen to, maybe you are walking in the garden, you find some minerals. Sometimes there are those who are farmers, who have farmers who happen to find some minerals in their fields. And when they find these minerals, most of the time they discover that there is already an exploration license. And when you find that there is already a license, it's quite difficult for you to apply for a license or artisanal license, because there is this company which has the exploration license, and for you to get a license you have to contact this company, and most of the cases, most of the time this company just registered and go out of the country. These are international middlemen who happen to have the licenses, and they have been given the license in the name of investors. Some of them, they get licenses and they just leave the area without doing anything. Now, if a local person discovers some minerals, want to maybe get a consent from this man or this company, most of the time they find this company, even the address, the address that has been given to cadastre, if you try to find out where they are, sometimes they are not even in the country. And it has happened many times. Our people have been stranded in many times because these companies, when they give the addresses, if you are to follow them, they are not actually there. And most of the time, if this company is there, you want to get a consent, they will not give you because they are also interested. These are middlemen who get the place, they get a huge chunk of land waiting to sell, or to wait for a local people to discover some minerals. Then later on, they take over or give another person who should give them the money. And that's how they have been doing. For you, Chota, to get the license, you have to get a consent. And these are some of the things that I feel the government should change. If I find some minerals in a place where there is already an exploration license, I don't need to get a consent for artisanal license. I should first apply. Once they give me a license, then the Ministry of Mines should just notify to this person or this company who has an exploration license that there is this person who have applied for the license, we have given the license to this person, and that's the way it should be done. If we can do that, I think it will be a win-win situation for Zambian, and Zambians, most of the Zambians will see them having some licenses and doing some activities in terms of mining.
I know most of the time the government, the now government, has made a lot of pronouncements in the mining sector, and among them they've advised the local people, you know, if you own a mining license, do not sell the mine, but instead partner with someone or look for someone to invest in that mine so that you form this partnership. This gives me these questions, Mr. Mwansa. How difficult is it to engage in mining? I ask this question because we know there is the issue of Shujilite, which is now in Central Province. And when I think about that scenario, these are just people who went with shovels and stuff like that, and they did mine resources worth 750 million United States dollars in a space of a short period. So this gives me questions. How difficult is it for one to do mining? Because we've seen incidences where we are told you've discovered minerals here, but we would rather bring in an investor so that they do the mining correctly. So how difficult is it to do mining in our country?
Well, that's a very great question. The pronouncement of the government to engage the foreign investors to invest in our sector, it's something that we have welcomed time and again. We feel that's a great pronouncement and great idea. And any good idea, each and every person should embrace that idea. But I feel also at the same time that we should learn to empower our locals because if me as Joseph Mwansakabuswe mining, doing the mining, whatever I export, the money will still come back to Zambia and work in Zambia, indirect and dialect, because I've been empowered by the government. You know, there are many ways of empowering the people who are mining, those who are engaging in mining activities. You can empower them financially. There must be some maybe grants which you give to the locals or to those who are mining. You go around, you see who have potential to produce and pay back. After you find out and you know these kind of people, then you can invest some money as government and give those people who can manage, you know, to mine, and at the end of the day, of course, pay back. But what I'm saying is that when you look at Swedelight, it's the same thing that I'll go back to. It's almost like going back to what I said already. There was an exploration license, which I believe, and for them to discover these minerals, the owner of the exploration license were mining, actual mining. And according to the law, you are not supposed to do actual mining when you have an exploration license. And this person, this company, the owner of the mine, they were doing actual mining. And the villagers or those locals, they saw that these people were mining. And it was from that angle that they also started mining. Now, instead of also questioning this man who was doing actual mining, but it became so much on those Zambians who are called illegal mining, there is these activities, and you know, it was grown beyond. Leaving the person, actually, the person who started mining those Swedelight without permission, because when you are doing exploration license, you first have to, when you find the minerals, you have to apply now for mining, you have to apply for mining license, then you can start mining. When you are doing exploration, you are told only to, you know, to cultivate and try to find out, to try to find some minerals where you can say, okay, this is the actual place that I can now begin to mine. After you discover some minerals, that's the time that you apply for the license. Once you apply for the license, then freely you can begin to mine. But this company did not do so. They began to do actual mining, and they produced some of the quantity of Swedelight, which nobody knows where if they exported or they sold. That we leave it to the government to find out what happened. Then the villagers, of course, they have rights. They saw that these people are mining. So what happened? It was free for all. That's how this Swedelight issue started. And when now Zambians were mining without a license, but when the government came in, they look at the situation. Of course, they closed the mine. But the culprit here is the owner of the exploration license, not just the Zambians. Because him also should be questioned. For Zambians to come in, it's because they saw that this man also was mining. And we must balance, you know, the way we do things. Don't just call Zambians as illegal miners and you pronounce so much. You are forgetting that even this person who has the exploration license is actually an illegal miner, because the law does not allow this person to do actual mining. It happened in Undazi. The owner of exploration license gave a Chinese a go-ahead to begin to mine in his mine. This Chinese guy was not doing exploration. They were doing actual mining. And when Zambians saw that, they also say, okay, we have seen what is happening. They went forth to begin to mine. And before long, this Chinese guy even shot one Zambian. Up to now, we lost the life of that Zambian. You cannot recover life. You can recover some money. What has happened? Have they dealt with this exploration company who has the license for exploration company? Undazi? They have not withdrawn the license. This guy still have the license. Now, did they deal with him? This is something that we would like to find out. we leave it to the Ministry of Mines, who are doing, I believe, a great job. Such kind of people, when you find what they are doing, if it's wrong, especially they are not Zambians, take back the license and give to the cooperatives. That's what we would like to see. We have seen a lot of unfairness. Our people are called illegal miners in your own country. Instead of finding a way to stop illegal mining, but we continue calling them illegal mining, avoiding to deal with the issue which has made them to become illegal mining. Of course, we are glad with the pronunciation or pronouncement from His Excellency that small-scale miners and artisanal belongs to Zambia. That alone, it's an empowering. We thank God for His pronouncement, which has given us, it has brought joy in our sector that at least some of these mines will now belong to us. Because at the moment, Prudence, if you were to find a mine, there is no area which is vacant. All areas have been taken by exploration licenses.
An interesting submission there, and you would wonder what time and when these people from outside actually came in the country and were given those exploration licenses. Quite interesting aspect that you've said. This has also reminded me of what happened last week when the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Collins Nzovu, visited the manganese company or in Serenge, where they actually discovered that where they are washing their minerals, the water is actually mixing with the water that is being used for consumption from the people. And the question that we were asking is what has been done to that person? Because in the first place, they were told to stop mining by Zema. But what did they do? They ignored the command from the authority and they went ahead and continued doing that. And government discovers them and they are giving them a warning, but they need to be punished. What of the people who've been consuming the contaminated water? So I think we have a lot to do as a country when it comes to that. But when we speak about illegal mining, can it come to an end? Do we have what it takes to bring to an end illegal mining?
Yes and no at the same time. But I believe that with a proper measure, which can be put in place, the illegal mining can come to an end. Not just pronouncement, also we should look at what is on the ground. We should first find out the root cause of illegal mining, which I believe us as Federation of Small-Scale Miners, we know exactly what is happening on the ground, and we know what has been causing illegal mining. Not only illegal mining, there are also illegal buyers who are coming from different neighboring countries to come and buy gold and do export without papers. If you were to go to geological survey, look at the gold that has been produced in the country, tons of gold, and if you were to go there and find out how much has been exported, you'll be surprised that it's maybe less than 10% which has been exported. What about 90%? Who has it? Where has it gone, that 90%? So these are some of the things that I think we need to sit down as government, as stakeholders. We understand this industry very much. They have to come down to us on the ground, and from there they can get one or two words from us how we can end the illegal mining. Of course, we are aware that the minister is doing everything possible to engage us in some other activities so that we work together with the Federation and the Ministry of Mines to at least to find a way of dealing with issues. One of them is illegal mining. Now, to end the illegal mining, I think as the government and Federation, we need to sit down, have endeavor. Because the issue here, it's a Zema. Now, some of the people, when they hear Zema policy, they think the directors are a problem, and Zema itself as an institution, it's a problem. The directors, they have done everything possible to do some adjustment, but this has to do with the policymaker at the parliament who should visit this document and go through again. Because when you look at artisanal, it was intended for rural areas to reduce poverty. Artisanal mining is for local people. When they introduced this program or this project concerning artisanal, it was meant for local people who happen to be Zambians in order to reduce poverty in rural areas. Now, the people who discover some minerals are those locals in the villages. Now, when you look at the charges, a villager can't manage. 60,000, where does one get the money? And you, Prudence, if you find the money, the mine in your garden, you are just doing some cultivating, then you find some minerals. Would you just look at them?
No, of course not.
You can't, because when you find some minerals, you know this is money. And you know that you cannot get a license because of those hindrances which are there. So what do? You continue doing illegal mining. And when you find, we find you doing illegal mining, we'll say, you are doing illegal mining, this is an offense, and sometimes you can even be jailed for something that you did not even intended. But because of circumstances when it comes to obtain a license. The ZEMA, we have said time and again, the ZEMA should simplify the document. Artisanal, you just need one page. They tell you 8 things, don't do this, you should do this, don't do this, you should do this. They know exactly 100%. A villager can't write the EPB. That document, it's beyond even those who are in small-scale mining. It's beyond them. It's beyond each one of us. We are not an experts. There are some experts who understand that. But you want to use that document against a village. This is very unfair. And we have said it time and again. We don't know why they don't want to listen. But when it comes to pronouncement, illegal mining, illegal mining, illegal mining. But why are these people become illegal mining? Find the root. Where is the problem? Once you deal with a problem, then you end that problem. It's like you have a wound somewhere. Then someone who's just guessing, oh, there's a wound somewhere, but you are not pointing out where the wound is. That wound without medicine, it will not be healed. You have to deal with the wound with the medicine. We have said, please, let's meet and discuss. We have said to the Ministry of Mines, we have said to ZEMA, this is a problem that you are facing. Simplify the document. For artisanal miners, most of the people who discover the minerals are Zambians who happen to find these minerals in the garden. That document they cannot manage to write. Just create something like a form. Somebody pay 1,000. He fills the form. Then he takes to the Ministry of Mines, or the Ministry of Mines, actually the Ministry of Mines should first start, give the license, then someone before he start mining, go to ZEMA. If we can go that process, I can assure you 100% that 80% we shall reduce this called illegal mining. Now, when it comes to illegal mining, has it started now? No, even time of Kaunda. Kaunda actually at one point he used the army just to, to stop illegal mining in 1984. If my memory serves me right, it should be 1984. Has illegal mining come to an end? No, because they have not been dealing with the issue, the main problem. They have been dealing with the problem on the surface. They have not deep in to take the roots out. Because of that, we'll see illegal mining continue. And I've seen that the passion of the president is to see that every Zambian have a license. Every Zambian should do mining. Every Zambian should be treated fair. And I think that is also the passion of the minister. But there are things that are on the ground which the president doesn't know, which the minister doesn't know, which us we know. And we need to be consulted in order to advise how we can finish illegal mining.
Interesting there. The president has changed permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Mines 3 times in their 1 year and some months, almost 1 year, 9 months they've been in office. 3 times permanent secretaries have been changed in the ministry. Does this affect your sector as small-scale miners?
Yeah, when it comes to changing 3 times permanent secretaries, I think that we cannot comment much because the president knows exactly the reason why he has made such kind of, he has come up with that decision to change 3 PS within a short period of time. And as Federation of Small-Scale Miners, of course, we have to respect the head of the state, that decision came out of ISAT. He must know exactly the reason why he has made those changes. And as Federation of Small-Scale Miners, we are not a political party, we are an organization which work with the government and which work with all people from different sector, from different angle in Zambia, opposition and those in government. We work together with these people. So for that, we cannot comment, but we can comment on the directors. When a PS, we have seen this, I've been in this business for the past 39 years. I have vast experience. We have seen good and bad happening in our sector. When it comes to directors, that one we can comment. When it comes to the PS changing directors, what we have seen that every new PS always come with his own people. They remove those who are there and bring new people, and they say they have not been doing well, A, B, C, D. And they all maybe entire director and the deputy, they are removed. And they have done this several times, and we have been watching, we have been witnessing. We feel this is not a good idea. Every PS should come and change the directors. This is not what we expect. We expect the PS to give the vision. You call the director and the deputy, you sit down with them, explain to them what we want and what the president expects from us. This is how we'll be working. This is our direction. This is our strategic plan. This is our vision. This is our goals. So you have to follow our goals, and we are going to work in this pattern. If these two people, they don't follow what you are saying, it's from there you can change them. Not just upon arrive, you have not sat down with them, you want to change, make changes. We have seen this. The last, the two permanent secretaries who have now been released. The first one came, he changed the director. Another one came, changed the director. So we have seen this happening, not just now, even the previous government. It has been a trend. I don't know if it's a pattern or policy in the government. We don't know yet. Maybe the government should tell us that this is a policy and it is in what you can lead from mining rights, that when a new PS comes in, should change the directors. And this has been affecting us as the Federation of Small-Scale Miners. When we have some cases, like it happened, one chief reported that someone was doing the actual mining in Solwezi. The chief came and we sat down with the former PS and he said, okay, I'll look into these things then. And the director, we are still talking. Then things changed. So it means you have to come, you have to start all over again. And should you ask this director that there is this case, you say, oh, me, I'm a new person. I have to first learn how it is done. I'll get back to you. And this has been going on time and again. We are saying the new PS should sit down with the director of cadastre and the deputy and the whole team. Discuss the matters. If there is anything that they see is not good, it should give them the vision, the direction, and the way you want things to be done. Don't change the director and the deputy, but give them the vision, what you want. And this is what we expect. It's not long ago, I think last week, the president gave us a pronounce concerning the small-scale miners. He's like a captain. He wants to see change in our industry. If these people who are on the ground does not work hard and correct certain things, he will not know what is happening. He will assume everything is well when everything is not well. Until people from different angles begin to do what is right, then the president will be called a great person. But if these people, they don't correct the mistakes that they have seen, people, they will be stoning the president as if he's the cause of certain things which are happening. Not everything that happens in our industry, the cause is the president. I think we must understand that.
Interesting submission there. In case you're just tuning in to Camnet TV, this is a breakfast show, and we are joined in studio by the Federation of Small-Scale Miners President, Pastor Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe, and we are discussing the status of illegal mining. He has been passionate about these issues, and he wants to ensure that everyone called an illegal miner in Zambia actually becomes a legal miner by ensuring that the process of acquiring licenses is simplified. Pastor Kabuswe has been, on several times we've interacted, mentioned that the process, especially at Zema, is incumbent and of course quite expensive for someone, an ordinary person who's just discovered minerals at their farm. So we are discussing the status of illegal mining in the country, in case you're just tuning in to Camnet TV. Moving forward, Pastor Mwansa, how the minister, and of course, did close Kasenseli mine, and we know what is contained. Kasenseli mine alone can be a game changer when it comes to the issue of country having forex, when it comes to the issue of the country having to repay back its debt. But here we are, this mine was closed. Was that a good move taken by the government, or it would have been done differently?
Yeah, this issue has two faces. One face is that it's a right move. Another face, it shows that it's not a wrong, it's a wrong move. A wrong move in a sense that most of the people lost their jobs and they have families, and it means they cannot get the money to feed the families, especially those who are working there. But at the same time, the duty of the minister is to do what is good for the nation. He did well to close the mine, because that's the only way. Even me, if I was a minister, I could have done the same. When you find a problem in that nature, the first thing that you do is to close the mine, so that you do the correct things. Because when a mine is not doing accordingly, as a minister, you not just overlook at what is happening, because it was beyond, actually, it was beyond measure. So as a minister, the first thing that he did is to close the mine, then begin now to consult. I'm sure that he might have consulted even those experts and the president. They might, I just assume this is what happened. I don't know exactly. He might have consulted some people who are expert in these areas, how they can go about it. And I'm very sure that the government, they are doing something that will be very positive, tangible to the nation. At the end, eventually the nation will begin to benefit through that mining. Because the way it was happening, most of the stones were taken out from that place. Do they even know where those stones are? And some of the stones, of course, some other people also were taken and selling to those people who come from neighboring countries who have been time and again smuggle the stones. So one way I can say the minister was right to close the mine, even though it affects the workers. But what can one do? The first thing that one has to do as a government or as a minister is to close the mine, then begin to find a way how you can correct things and put things in order, so that when that mine begins to operate, the Zambian should benefit. And I'm sure that even the minister, he knows that is there because of the Zambian people. In fact, in Bemba we say ubutungulushi bantu, ukwabula bantu, tabuli butungulushi. So the minister is there because of Zambian people, and I'm sure that he is going to do what is right in order to save Zambians from being from poverty or from lacking of funds. And that mine, if they put everything in measure, they correct things and the things begin to work well, the government will benefit in indirect and direct. There will be more workers who will be employed, and the money will be coming to the coffers of the government. The government will get revenue from that mine in a right way. So I think it's better to protect what belongs to us and find the right people who can manage in a in a transparent manner. And doing that, the people who are going to benefit is us, indirect and direct. So I must say that the minister was right. I think we should also learn that when someone does something which is very good, even if you don't like him, you can compliment that this person has done what is right. If he has done what is wrong, you can also criticize, but in a right way. So, as I said from earlier on, that it has two faces. Of course, we know that Zambians, they lost some jobs. They lost some jobs. They could have at least feeding the family through their salaries. But they lost some jobs, and most of them, they don't have jobs. But at the same time, the government did what is right. Maybe I can just say, if they can quicken the process, it will help. At the same time, again, if they rush, they may make another mistake. It's better we give them the time to do what is right.
When we say we give them the time, Pastor Mansa, sometimes we have seen situations where a mine has been shut. And I think this has been happening in almost all the parts of the country. We saw what happened in Central Province there when they discovered that there was illegal mining that was taking place. Actually, of God, they had to close the mine. We saw what happened in Northwestern Province. These have been happening where, you know, minerals are discovered, government comes in, they say, shut the operations or stop this illegal mining. And it has taken a lot of time for the government to go back and say, okay, can we start now mining in these areas? So could you say, as a country, we sometimes move slow to act when it comes to issues to do with mining? Or is it that we have to do the right thing, as you've said? Because looking at history, the same mistakes have been repeating themselves, the same mistakes. Even some mines that have been closed, before you know it, you'll discover that there are actually people mining in those particular areas where government has said, stop mining. I just give an example of in Serenge there, where Zema told the mine to stop mining manganese, but when the minister went there, they actually found that they had continued mining, and I don't even know if they've even been paying the revenue they need to, because Zema thought the mine is closed. So do you think sometimes as a country we are slow to act when it comes to issues of mining?
Yeah, maybe, you know, it's a learning process, but again, for how long are you going to continue learning, you know, of something that has been happening time and again? Maybe I would say the government should find a quick way of solving these problems, a quick way of solving this problem, because we have the past which give us as a calendar or a map what has happened before, and the way we can do things in a quicker way. So these things has not happened just once, time and again. From there we can learn that the more we delay to open up the mines, it's a more we hold on unemployment. So people, they are, you know, they are expectant. They want to be employed. They want to see these mines operating so that they can begin to get some salaries, those will be employed, and at the same time, it's like you are hooting, you are stopping the economy from growing. The more you hold on the mine, it's the more you stop the economy from growing, because it's through these mines that we add something on what we are collecting and improve our economy, we improve the unemployment in our country. So I feel that the government can do better than this. But when it comes to close the mine, we must understand that if they don't do that, maybe people may die, and we will criticize them for not stopping the mining. To stopping the mine and close the mining, that is the right procedure. They have first to close the mines, then from there begin now to discuss with different departments in government and those who are expert how they can do it. But the problem, it's a processing. The process has been a bit slow, and we urge the government to be faster than before. As you have mentioned, to say one mine was closed, then this mine or this company did not follow the procedure just after the Zema have left, then they went back and began to work. It happened also in Mumbwa. The mine was closed, but during the night time, people, they go and, you know, dig the gold. They can go and find out these things. We have received the report, it's happening. But what I can say is that, for example, the company which has which was told to close because of some mistakes, I think that company should be dealt with, because it's like you are insulting the Zema. And again, I can say when I talked about EPB, the dialect of Zema, some of them very great people, we have sat down and talked about EPB. They are not our problem. The institution is not a problem. Our problem, it's a policy itself, which we would like the parliament to look into this policy and simplify. So get back to what you have asked. I think the government should be quicker and should be dealt with these people who disobey them. You know, that is lack of respect. They don't respect the government and the people of Zambia. The Zema gave them instruction. Simple, they could have just followed that instruction. And that mine was going to be opened, because when Zema give you instruction, you follow it. Then later on, they will allow you to work. They are not difficult people. One or two simple instruction. One should not avoid. One should just follow. But imagine, after being told to close, the moment the Zema left the place, they begin to work. That is an insult to the government. It's an insult to us as people of Zambia. It is an insult to Zema as an institution. We don't want to see such kind of behavior. It's an attitude that we should not allow in our nation, especially these foreign investors. They take us as if we are nothing. That should not be allowed in our country.
Are we as a country, or are we as Zambian citizens benefiting enough from these mines? I ask this, I know growing up on the Copper Belt, where my father was a miner, looking at how much they were getting and the millions that these mines make out of the minerals that they mine in the country. Do you think as a country we are getting enough benefits from our mining sector, or it is just a particular section that is benefiting? I know when you talk of maybe First Quantum Mineral, Kasenteli there, I know people there get quite good amount of money from the mining activities that is taking place there. And I know that those guys are making, of course, millions of dollars from the mines there. But as a country, or as Zambian citizens, do you think we benefit enough from our minerals?
It is yes and no. Yes, it's because of maybe the thousands of people that these big mines have employed. Of course, they have reduced unemployment, which is a positive thing to each and every Zambians and to the government. So we can say in that area they are doing fine. And of course, there are people who are selling also some goods to these mines, and some bit of services which they are doing in community. But when it comes to improving our economy, I would say no, because what we get, it's very little money. When they produce quantity tons of minerals, and they export to wherever they export, the money that will come, it's only about 30% to 20% to come and pay the workers and, to maintain the machinery and some other things. Then the rest of the money remain outside. So as a country, financially or economically, are we benefiting much? Not much. We are getting less, because the money is not ours. This money belongs to some other countries. And again, we cannot blame them because we don't have money. And the government wants to have investors. Again, when you look at what they are investing, you are talking about Solwezi. Of course, we have seen a club which is Kansesh mining. But look at the stadium. Look at the stadium. We expected a big stadium. Looking at the money which they are making as a company, they should do more in community.
Even roads.
Yeah, look at Lufanyama, Kajam, what are they doing? Which hospital can we point out and say this hospital was built by Kajam? Apart from getting lot of money and keeping huge land without doing anything. But when it comes to attack Zambians who are not doing anything, in their minds we pronounce too big. Yet Kajam, they have mines which they are not even mining. Even these big mines, they have this Kasensela and the First Quantum, they have mines which they are not even working. These mines are dormant. Are they working? No. What about Kajam? They have a big mine, big area. Some of the areas, they are not even using it. So it means they are delaying our economy. Why can't they cut the land, give the Zambians or cooperatives who can work and help the communities? You and me, I believe one day we are going to visit Lufanyama very soon. We'll go around and I want you to point out one thing which the Kajam have done, which one can say, oh, yeah, this is something good. At least these people are doing well based on the money that they are getting. But if you look at what they have done, to me, I can say it's almost nothing. So these companies which we give an opportunity to do mining in Zambia, they should do more in our nation, in those communities. So I'm saying it's yes and no because we are not seeing much. We have not seen much. Apart from employment and the salary they gave them, they are not doing much. They are not doing much. We would like to see them doing much. You know, I like the pronouncement of the president that the small-scale miners and artisanal belongs to Zambian. We should understand that that's a process of beginning to grow our economy, because everything that we make, we produce, if we export, the money 90% will come back to Zambia. In terms of forex, the government will benefit and each and every person will benefit. And the money will be in circulation within our country.
In a minute, as we come to the dying end of the program, in conclusion, illegal mining, what's the status in Zambia? What is the final remark when it comes to this particular topic on the program this morning? Speak to the stakeholders, speak to the authorities. I know they are listening.
I think it has been, this is something which we have been talking about time and again. It goes back to Zema EPB. They should simplify. For small-scale miners and for small-scale mining license and artisanal license, these mines which belongs to Zambian, especially artisanal, 8 to 7 hectares, simplify a document to empower your own people. Don't overload your own people. Those who are finding these minerals, who discover these minerals, are local Zambians who can't even manage 5 bags of fertilizer. Now, you give condition. One way you pronounce, you can get the license. Another way, you are blocking the license. The same license. How are you blocking the license? By the condition that you have put in place. Those are obstacles and hindrances which, as long as you don't look at this area, I can assure you 100%, illegal mining will continue. If the president was to see exactly what is happening and were to know how big is illegal mining, will be disturbed, because illegal mining is not small as we are thinking. As we are on the ground, we know exactly that illegal mining is huge. But how do we stop it? Deal with that document, EPB, Zema EPB. And again, I'm saying the directors, they are not our enemies. These are great people that we talk, we sit down and we talk. They cannot do anything because it's a process which has to be done with the parliament to amend it and so simplifies. So I'm saying the government should look into this seriously. Otherwise, illegal mining will continue. The minister is doing making some effort to pronounce, and he wants to change certain things. But as long as we don't change the Zema policy, illegal mining will never come to an end. It started in the 50s. Up to now, it is still going. 39 years experience of watching and seeing what has happened in this nation concerning illegal mining. Up to now, we are witnessing. Even when we tell them, please come to us, sit down with us. We will explain how this is done. They don't listen.
Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association President Pastor Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe was with us in studio this morning. Wonderful discussion. Policymakers, I hope you are listening to this program, and I know you are listening. We cannot deal with this problem in isolation. We need all stakeholders to come on board to sit, discuss, and hear and learn from those who've been on the ground. This has been the Breakfast Show. Friday is strictly business, and we're looking at that sector. So I was your host, Prudence Chota, from my guest, Mr. Pastor Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe. The entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye for now, and God bless you till next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.